The 4-H Horse Club runs from August through June, and we take off July for the summer just because it's too hot to show horses. Most of the show seasons are around the same time. We take a break around December because it's so cold and icy and things like that, and then we start up again in March. Our club has a show once a month, usually September, October, November, and then March, April, and May. Today is our first 4-H spring horse show. It's a jeans and chaps show, so the riders aren't dressed up in their typical sparkly dress attire. It's an opportunity for kids to come and just wear their blue jeans and chaps, and it's also an opportunity for them to get their horses cleaned up from the winter and show for the first show of the season. The state 4-H, Georgia 4-H, has several horse events throughout the year that they host, and our club, the purpose of our club is to prepare our members for those state events. So they have a horse quiz bowl competition in January, they have a hippology competition in April, a judging competition in May, and then a final state horse show the second week of June. And all of the work that we do in our club is to prepare our members to compete at those state events. If they win at state, like our quiz bowl team won this year, then they represent Georgia at the national competition this year held in Denver, Colorado. So our state champion team from Douglas County in Quiz Bowl will be traveling to Denver, Colorado next January to represent the state.
I've been in it for about 6 years, and I know a lot of people that have had children go through it from young ones to high school, so it's a long time here, and we've been privileged to be part of the group. It's a super group, all supporting all the kids. I even help teach some of the kids, and we're quite active in all aspects of the 4-H Horse Club. You do not have to own a horse. A lot of the kids take lessons. I have several that take lessons from me, and they're part of this group, and other parents have lots of kids that share horses with people that do have horses in the club. And there are some that are just purely interested in the animal sciences, you might say, and they just join us to be part of an animal group because they don't want to ride.
I've been with the Douglas County Horse Club for about 7 years. I joined because my daughter wanted to learn about horses, and we knew nothing about horses, so it was a great place for her to learn. She started taking lessons with some of the older girls, and then she started, she got her own horse. It was just kind of a progression. But the clubs are run by the youth. We have officers who are members, and the president, they run the club, they do everything like that. So it's a good experience, not just to learn about horses, but they've learned leadership skills, they've learned you know, how to lead, and they've all been on quiz bowl teams, so they've learned how to compete not only individually in horse shows, but also as a team. You know, they've gone to state twice, and it's just been a great experience for our whole family. We have a website they can go to get the numbers, www.douglascounty4h, or they can call me. My number is 770-942-9565. Or they can just come to a meeting and check it out. You don't have to join the first time you come. It's very inexpensive to join. I believe it's $8 to $10 for the whole year. Well, what I love about the 4-H Horse Club is it's affordable. The families can do it together. It's a whole entire family kind of thing, and so it's really a good way to introduce your children to horses and find out if they like it. You know, you don't want to spend a bunch of money on expensive lessons or an expensive horse and find out your child, it's just not what your child wants to do.
And congratulations in first place, number 118.
We are doing reading pause, what we call reading pause, and what we do is that kids come to the library and they read to Cleo. It's supposed to improve kids' reading skills and basically just get them excited about reading. Cleo's not judgmental. She never corrects them. She doesn't give them a hard time for saying the wrong word or picking the wrong book or picking a book that's too easy for them or anything like that. So she never gives them a hard time. So that's why they like reading to her. We're nationally certified through READ, which is a national organization, and then we're part of Reading Paws, which is a local group that does Reading Paws, is what we call it. So that's what we're doing today. And so kids will come, they sign up ahead of time, and they come and they read to her for about 15 minutes. And then kids don't show up, or if we have extra time and there's kids here who are willing or wanting to read, they read to her. And so it gets them, not only does it get excited about reading, but also if they're afraid of dogs or they're uncomfortable reading aloud or anything, it takes the edge off, it makes them comfortable, and they love to see Cleo and they pet her. And some kids don't, some kids stay away and read to her from a distance, but some kids pet her and snuggle with her and lie on her, and she loves it. She loves kids and they love her, and so it really works out well. I got involved with this by actually getting Cleo. There's a group here in Douglas County. Actually, it's all around Atlanta, but the girl who started it lives here in Douglas County, and it's a Greyhound group, and she's involved in Reading Paws, and we went and got certified with another. She has another Greyhound, got certified as a therapy dog, and Cleo's also a therapy dog. And so we did that first, and then it just kind of broke into what else can we do? Let's see, what else? Let's do. Let's go to nursing homes. Let's go to children's hospitals. Oh, you know, there's this reading program. So that's basically how we just kind of fell into it.
By now, you're probably wondering, well, how do I get my child signed up for this program? Here's how.
They can always call the library. We're at Dog River Library from 11 to 12, and from Douglas County Library from 2 to 3, the first Saturday of every month. So they can call the library and just register. All you have to do is just sign up. Like I said, you can always just show up, but we don't always have time set aside. So it's always good if you show up, you sign up, you show up, and if you just call the library, and there's, or you can check the website, readingpaws.org, and Cleo actually has a web page, and you can email her from that web page and she'll email you back, or you can call the library, either way.
And just in case you're thinking about becoming a certified Reading Paws team, this is how.
What you have to do is you have to get certified through a therapy group first and be in a therapy dog certified group first. So we're a team, we're a certified team. You have to do that first, and then you go through the READ program, which is a national group, go through training that way, and then you get certified through them. And then you can either do it on your own or you can do it through a local group, which is Reading Paws is our local group that we use.
I'm Gail Woody. I work for the Douglas County Board of Commissioners Property Management Department, and you are in my backyard, which is a National Wildlife Certified habitat, a monarch pollinator garden as well, and a bird sanctuary. A couple of weeks ago, we had 14 feeders, and I was making 2 gallons of food a day for the hummingbirds that travel through here every year. They come in here in March, and by June, I'm making 1 gallon of food a day. By the end of August, I'm making 2 gallons of food a day, which I buy a 25-pound sack of sugar every 3 or 4 days to keep these boogers fed. We went from approximately 200 hummingbirds to down to maybe a few pair right now. This is the time of the year they're migrating south. But what you see behind me is a pollinator garden. And it's mostly nectar, quite a bit of pollinating. By pollinating, I'm talking about having the plants, the trees, shrubs, and vines that butterflies need to lay their eggs and actually have chrysalis and reproduce here in my own backyard. My back porch right now has chrysalis with 8 monarchs in them that is very close to being ready to hatch. Oh, and look, there's the monarch. And as you can see, that's a female monarch. And she's resting and nectaring. She's come from way up north to here. And she is beautiful, and this is such a treat because this is the first monarch that has been through in a few weeks since the eggs were laid that I have. And she's very, very dark, which means she's young and strong. So that is quite a joy to see her. These are New York asters. These are Georgia native aster flowers. Show you how important it is if you can see all of the honeybees in this backyard. They're just covered on this aster, and they're pollinating here. And we have a real serious problem with honeybees. So it's just so crucial to have these honeybees here and to not use pesticides. Honeybees are really in peril due to pesticides and the lack of native plants for them. We have many varied native plant species and vines and shrubs that are host specific for these butterflies. So it's pretty exciting to be able to do programs here for school children and garden clubs and tours, and so it's pretty exciting here in my backyard. I work for Douglas County. That's what I do for a living, but this is who I am.
We started our garden after we moved here. We built this house back 15 years ago, and I started gardening then. I knew I wanted a garden. I just didn't have any idea of the expanse that it would turn into. The reason I started all of this, when we moved here, there was a lack of birds. I wanted them to come, and we planted it, and we have birds now. Visited Gail Woody's garden not long ago, and it was an inspiration to me that maybe we could have more hummingbirds here. And so I put more feeders out, and they have come to them. So this year must be a really good year for hummingbirds and butterflies because we've had a lot of both. We do have different areas, but I haven't titled them anything. Have different plants in our garden. We have some natural plants, and of course other things I've put in, a lot of hydrangeas. I can't even count the number in the variety of what we have here, but it's an ongoing process, and we just keep planting. When something doesn't work, we move it and plant something new. My garden has been on tour with the Hydrangea Festival 2 or 3 times. We had the hors d'oeuvres here back when Moonlight and Magnolias was going on before the Hydrangea Festival started. And I'm also a member of Town and Country Garden Club, and we've had many meetings out here in the yard. And I always look forward to people coming that enjoy gardening. We do have a few more plans. We have just recently cleared the side yard, and we had some trees taken down and stump grinding going on and that kind of thing. We're not really sure what we're gonna do yet with that area, but I have some ideas. My garden does die back in the winter. However, the winter time is when we're the most active out here. We have lots of trees, lots of leaves to rake and shred, and we are out here beginning the minute the leaves have fallen. We start raking, shredding, grooming, and it's an ongoing process, and we just try to get it all done before spring gets here so that when spring is here and everything pops out green, it then looks wonderful. The advice I would give anyone trying to start their own garden is to take it a section at a time. When we established this garden, it was not done overnight, and I did lots of studying. My husband and I did all of the landscaping here. We have planted every shrub, tree, bush. It can be done by the homeowner. We just have a passion for it. I read and study to see what plants will do well in which areas, and if it doesn't work, no big deal. Pull it out and start over. But just take it one small section at a time. I was overwhelmed when I first looked at my yard and trying to make a plan for this area, but then I read something somewhere that told me to just take a section, so I just kind of did tunnel vision so that I could see one section at a time, and it worked. I come out to the garden to be with God, and it's an inspiration to me. I love to see things grow, and a lot of worshiping goes on out here because I can see Him everywhere. So it is something to my heart. It's a passion for me.
There are many types of hobbies. Some people play sports, some garden, others love to read. But a group of Douglas County residents prefer a different type of activity. They are the Douglas County Aero Modelers.
This club is 20 years old, or maybe a little older than that. This used to be the old dump site, and they refurbished it for us to fly here. They got together and built these pavilions and built everything. We got a blacktop runway, a 300-foot blacktop runway, and basically we just come out here and fly and have a good time. We have meetings once a month, generally the first Tuesday of every month.
The airplanes range from ones that are small enough to hold in your hand to some that require a trailer to haul.
Okay, well, what you want to do, you want to get into a trainer, which would be something on the order of this one here, a high wing, very stable airplane. And then we have a deal they call the buddy box, where you have the student pilot, let's say, has the controls, but you've got a wire connected to another transmitter for the instructor. And the instructor holds a switch down and lets the student fly until he gets out of control or gets in trouble. And all he has to do is let go of the button, and he has the instructor has control. It saves many airplane crashes.
For these RC pilots, flying airplanes provides a fun, entertaining way to not only relax, but to relieve the stress of being in the office all week.
It's relaxing to a point, but on the other hand, it's very intense. So it makes you forget all your troubles from work and troubles you may have at home and financial. You just forget about everything, and that's really the key to what we do.
Being an aero modeler seems complex at first, but the Douglas County RC Flyers welcome all newcomers, and they stand by ready to help interested flyers get their wings in the air.
You can get into a low-cost, well, we call it a low-cost model, ready to fly for a couple $100, maybe $300, and that's complete. That's transmitter, that's everything you need. But you don't want to get into the models and just go out and fly it by yourself. You want to get some help because it'll save you a lot of money.
Being a good pilot, it doesn't necessarily mean you have to have years of experience beneath your wings. Take Dcne. He's already making a name for himself, and he's only been flying for about a year.
Me and my dad, we started off with RC cars, and he's always raced all his years and stuff, and we finally just got burned out and got into airplanes, and I've been flying about a year now. And it's just fun. It's a whole lot funner than the RC cars. It's challenging, and it's just a blast to come out here and fly. This type of plane they call it a 3D, which it hovers and does a whole bunch of tricks.
We sincerely appreciate Douglas County's support of our activities out here. They allow us to use this old landfill that has been capped and out of use, and we certainly appreciate it. To show that, we're having a Douglas County Appreciation Day on September 15th. That's a Saturday. All of the proceeds from our open house is going to the Empty Backpack program. We'll be starting in the morning about 9 o'clock and going probably throughout the day. And we want to invite everyone that might be interested in the radio control kind of flying to come out and visit us. We'll have airplanes that you can fly under supervision of an instructor pilot. We'll have flight simulators that you can do. We'll have hot dogs, hamburgers, Cokes, fun flying demonstrations as you've seen some of today. Come see us on Saturday the 15th.
You can find out more about the Aero Modelers at dcamrc.com.
I'm enjoying the day here at Sweetwater Creek State Park. Kayaking, fishing are one of the many things the park has to offer. Now we're going to talk to Interpretive Ranger Don Scarborough. He's going to tell us what else is going on this summer for you and your family.
Well, we've got about 2,500 acres here. We're standing right behind the new Manchester Mill, and at the beginning of the Whitewater Rapids. We have a half-a-mile stretch of Whitewater Rapids here, up to Class 4. People actually kayak it after a heavy rain like today's. The new Manchester Mill is a very historic structure. When it opened in 1849, it was the tallest building in the Atlanta area. It was a 5-story cotton mill that made cloth. And some of that cloth was taken into Atlanta and made into Confederate soldiers' uniforms in 1864. And for that reason, it was ordered burned down by General Sherman. But we do offer tours of it. It's even been featured in several films lately. It's a magnificent structure and a magnificent setting. We've got about 10 miles of trails though, but this, of course, is the most popular one. We've got a 215-acre reservoir. It has a bait shop. We sell fishing licenses and bait, and it's also a nice gift shop. We've got boat rentals. We rent everything from, well, we rent john boats, canoes, kayaks, pedal boats, even stand-up paddle boards now. Boating, fishing, picnicking, and hiking are by far the most popular activities. Hiking and picnicking, there of course is no charge. To enter the park, there is a $5 parking fee, regardless of how many people are in the vehicle. Things like boats rent for $20 for 2 hours for the boat. Most of the activities that people like to do, like fishing and hiking and playing out on the rocks and touring the mill, there's no charge. We have a lot of programming here, interpretive programs where we have historic hikes, wildflower hikes, full moon hikes, paddles on the lake, even paddles here on the creek. That's a big part of the activities here, and there's usually a nominal charge for that. People can find out about the park and all activities by going to georgiastateparks.org and then clicking on Sweetwater Creek.
It seems we stood and talked like this before. We looked at each other in the same way then, but I can't remember where or when. The clothes you're wearing are the clothes you wore. The smile you were smiling then, but I can't remember where or when. Some things that happen for the first time seem to be happening again. And so it seems that we have met before and laughed before and loved before, but who knows where or when. It seems we stood and talked like this before. We looked at each other in the same way then, but I can't remember where or when. The clothes you're wearing are the clothes you wore. The smile you were smiling then, but I can't remember where or when. Some things that happen for the first time seem to be happening again and again and again. And so it seems that we have met before and laughed before and loved before, but who knows where or when. seems we stood and talked like this before. We looked at each other in the same way then, but I can't remember where or when. The clothes you are wearing are the clothes you wore. Smiling or smiling or smiling then, but I can't remember where or when. Some things that happened for the first time seem to be happening again. And so it seems that we have met before and laughed before and loved before, but who knows where or when. Thank you.
You know, every year Macy's has a big, great tree at Lenox Square. And the tree for this year was found in Douglas County. We've been looking at it about 5 years, and we decided it was time to cut it, and it's a beautiful tree. I drive around and look. We get phone calls from people. We get emails that send us pictures, you know, and we go and look at every one of them. And we have to make a decision about, is it the right size, shape? Is it very accessible to get to it, you know? And this was great. As you can see here, it's easy to get to, and it's a beautiful tree. We come out and we bring the crew from Superior Rigging with us. They look at it, make sure we can get the tree, get it out easy enough without damaging any property lines. They have to get the limbs tied up where it won't be any wider than like 14 feet going down the road on the flatbed trailer. Once they get that tied up, then they come in like here this morning, and they'll hook the crane to the top of it, they'll cut it, and then they'll load on the flatbed trailer. Take it back to their yard, and it stays there till Sunday morning. At 7:30 they'll leave and go to Lenox Square and put it up on the roof of Macy's building. And then it's decorated by a company. And then on the 24th of November, Thanksgiving night, we have the great tree lighting at Macy's.